The company that makes WD-40 keeps an official list of over 2,000 documented uses for that blue and yellow can. 2,000 uses, and the handful that keep real money out of a dealership service drive are the ones you will never see printed on a label. After more than 20 years and 3,000 cars, I can tell you dealers know exactly what this can does. They just make more money when you don't. Number 1 on this list is the trick hiding in plain sight, printed right on the front of the can in the name itself. It takes 30 seconds, it costs pennies, and it's the reason a retired school bus driver almost handed a dealer over $300 for a repair she never needed. 9 tricks, all of them cheap, all of them proven, and every one of them is money the service department was counting on. Number 9, tar, sap, and sticker removal. Road tar, tree sap, and old sticker glue don't just sit on your paint, sap especially. Leave it baking in the sun for a few weeks and it starts etching into the clear coat, and now a cosmetic problem is a permanent one. Here's what the dealer's detail department won't tell you. That paint decontamination service they offer runs anywhere from $250 to $450 depending on where you live, and the working end of it is mostly solvent and a soft rag. I see it every summer. Cars come through the shop with sap spots that sat too long, dull little craters in the clear coat, because the owner was told this was specialist work. It isn't. Spray a little WD-40 directly on the tar or sap, let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes, and wipe it away with a clean microfiber cloth. The solvents in the can break down the sticky stuff without attacking the paint underneath. One thing the hack videos leave out: wash that panel with car soap when you're done. WD-40 isn't a wax, and if you leave the residue on the paint, it attracts dirt and strips the protection you already had. 2 minutes with a bucket finishes the job right. Number 8, door hinges, hood latch, and seat tracks. Every hinge and latch on your car is bare metal riding on bare metal. When they run dry, they don't just squeak, they wear, they stick, and a hood latch that seizes shut means the day your battery dies, you can't even open the hood to jump it. There was a time when every oil change included a lube job. That was the whole point of the old lube, oil, and filter. Dealers quietly dropped the lube part decades ago, and plenty of them will still happily sell you a lubrication service as a line item for $95 to $180. Walk out to your car and pull the hood release. If it takes real effort or the hood needs a second shove to pop, ask yourself when that latch last saw a drop of lubricant. For most cars, the answer is the day it left the factory. Twice a year, give a short blast to the door hinges, the hood latch and striker, the trunk hinges, and the seat tracks. Work each one back and forth a few times and wipe off the excess so it doesn't collect dust. Keep it off the rubber weather stripping around the doors. That's a job for silicone spray, not a petroleum product. Metal gets the blue can, rubber doesn't. A $10 can twice a year against a seized latch or cable job that runs $300 to $500 at the dealer. That math isn't close. Number 7, bringing dead chrome and metal trim back. Real metal bright work. Older chrome bumpers, grille surrounds, roof rails, mirror trim, oxidizes. It hazes over, it pits, and it makes a solid car look 10 years older than it is. Walk that car into a dealership and the parts counter lights up because trim is gravy. Replacement pieces for what I just named run $400 to $700, and nobody behind that counter is going to mention that most oxidation isn't damage at all. It's sitting on top of the metal, waiting for someone to wipe it off. 2 Tahoes came through a while back, same year, same neighborhood, barely 20,000 miles apart. One owner wiped his bright work down a few times a year with a lightly sprayed rag, and it still threw light like new. The other had pitted roof rails and a hazed grille surround, and a dealer quote in his glove box for exactly that $400 to $700 parts bill. Spray a little on a soft rag, never straight onto the car, rub the oxidation off the metal, then buff it dry with a clean cloth. Real chrome and polished aluminum only. Skip the plastic chrome on newer cars and skip the matte black trim because petroleum solvents can stain both. Number 6, freeing seized bolts before they cost you labor. Every bolt on the underside of your car is rusting itself into a weld. License plate screws, exhaust flange bolts, battery hold downs. Road salt and water fuse them in place a little more every winter. Here's the part dealers never explain about your invoice. When hardware fights back, the tech's time goes up, and that time lands on you. The writer shrugs, says the bolts were seized, and the bill grows. Nobody mentions that 10 minutes of penetrating spray the night before would have erased that line entirely. A delivery driver up in Duluth brought his 2011 Pilot in for exhaust work last year. The flange bolts were rusted solid, the shop fought them for most of an hour, and the seized hardware labor added close to $300 to his bill. I've watched that surcharge run anywhere from $180 to $350 depending on the shop. The trick costs you nothing but patience. The night before any work, yours or a shop's, soak the fasteners involved, give each one a light tap to help the spray wick into the threads, and hit them again in the morning. Rusted hardware that would have snapped a wrench comes loose like it wants to. One hard rule while you're working down there: keep the spray off brake rotors, brake pads, and tire tread. Those parts work on friction, and friction is the one thing this can is built to destroy. A dealer will fix a lot of things for money. A slicked brake rotor is one you don't want on anyone's schedule. And that covers the damage rust does while the car sits still. The next one doesn't wait around for a repair bill. It picks the coldest morning of the year and leaves you standing in your own driveway. Number 5. Rescuing frozen and sticking door locks. A door lock cylinder is a tiny machine full of springs and pins, mounted in a panel that breathes wet air all year. Moisture gets in, and on the first hard freeze it turns to ice and locks the pins solid, or it sits there for years, quietly rusting them until the key barely turns. The dealer's answer to a dying lock cylinder is a new lock cylinder, and the roadside answer to a frozen one is a lockout call that runs $60 to $120 while you stand in the wind. Nobody in either building mentions that the can in your garage was invented to solve exactly this: displacing water out of places water shouldn't be. Every first cold snap, same pattern in the shop. The phone starts ringing before 8, and it's never the whole car that's frozen. It's one lock on the weather side, the one that catches the rain. Slide the straw into the keyhole, give it one short blast, wait a few seconds, and work the key gently. It pushes the water out and frees the pins, and through a cold snap, it keeps them from freezing again. Fair warning, the hack videos skip. Inside a lock cylinder, an oily spray is a rescue, not a maintenance plan, because oil holds onto dust. Come spring, follow up with a shot of dry graphite lube, and the cylinder stays clean year-round. A frozen lock costs you an hour and a lockout fee. The next one starts as a flicker in your mirrors and ends with a shop charging you for a wiring harness you never needed. Number 4. Saving your trailer plug and outside connectors. Every electrical connector that lives outside the cab is fighting corrosion. The trailer plug hangs behind the bumper eating spray off the road, and the moment those pins grow that gray-green crust, your trailer lights start flickering and your grounds start failing. Intermittent electrical problems are a service department's favorite kind, and here's why they won't say it out loud. The tech hunts the gremlin on the clock, and the hunt usually ends with a replacement harness at $200 to $400 for a failure that was sitting in plain sight on the face of the plug. If you tow anything, walk out and pull that connector apart right now. Bright metal pins mean you're fine. Gray or green pins mean you just found the flicker before it found you. While you're out there, drop a comment below and tell me the biggest charge a dealer ever added to your bill for something you could have fixed in your driveway. This audience has stories, and I read them. The fix takes 1 minute a season. Spray the pins and the socket, work the plug together and apart a couple of times, and wipe the face clean. It drives the moisture out and leaves a film that slows the corrosion down. For a connector that lives outside year-round, a dab of dielectric grease afterward seals the deal for good. Quick reminder, if this is keeping money in your pocket, hit that subscribe button. It costs nothing, and it helps us keep making videos the service department wishes we wouldn't. Corroded pins strand your trailer. The next one strands the whole truck. Number 3. Curing the damp morning no start. If your vehicle is old enough to have spark plug wires or a distributor cap, you know the morning I mean. Rain all night and the engine cranks strong but starts rough, stumbles, runs like a bag of hammers for 2 minutes, then clears up like nothing happened. That's not a tired engine. That's a film of moisture on the outside of the ignition, letting spark leak away to ground instead of reaching the cylinders. And the factory routed those wires through the wettest, grimiest corner of the engine bay. Here's what the parts counter does with that symptom. They load the cannon. Cap, rotor, wires, plugs, sometimes coils, and hundreds of dollars later, the car still hates wet mornings because the problem was never a bad part. I see it constantly on distributor-era Civics and older pickups, and the ones wearing 100,000 miles of grime are the worst because that grime is what holds the moisture film. The cure is the original party trick this product was born for. With the engine off and stone cold, put a light mist over the plug wires and the seams of the cap, wipe off the excess, and start it up. The moisture film is gone, and so is the stumble. Cold engine only. The spray is flammable, and a hot manifold will find that out for you. While you're in there, look the wires over. If the insulation is cracked, a fresh set runs $40 to $90 in parts and ends the problem for years. Compare that to the tow you'd pay for on the morning it finally won't clear up, anywhere from $130 to $390 depending on how far you live from town. 2 left. And remember what's waiting at number 1. The trick printed right on the front of the can, the one the whole name comes from, and the reason a retired school bus driver kept $300 a dealer had already written up. Number 2. Winterizing the hardware under your car. Everything exposed under your car, hood latch and cable, door and tailgate hardware, plate brackets, exhaust hangers, every bolt head and bare seam, spends the winter marinating in salt water. That's how a 15-year-old car ends up with a tailgate that won't open and a hood cable that snaps in your hand. Here's the part that should make you angry. Plenty of dealers sold an $800 to $1,400 rust-proofing package right at the signing table. And the sprayed-on coating never touches the moving parts. The latches, the cables, the fasteners, the pinch points, the pieces that actually seize, get nothing because a coating that hardens can't live on a part that moves. 2 Corollas from the same decade came through last fall, both Buffalo cars, both driven through the same salt. One owner spent 10 minutes every October misting the latches, the hinges, the cables, and every exposed bolt head and seam he could reach. On that car, every fastener breaks loose like it should, and every latch works like new. The other had a seized tailgate, a hood cable on borrowed time, and a rust repair estimate that ran $2,000 to $3,500 depending on which shop he believed. Every fall, before the first salt goes down, work around the car and put a light film on every exposed piece of hardware that moves or threads. Keep it off the rubber, keep it far from the rotors and pads, and wipe the drips. Straight talk on the limits. A mist on hardware will not save your rocker panels. For the big steel, a proper oil-based undercoating is the right tool. This trick covers the moving parts the undercoat guys skip, and those are the parts that strand you. That's number 2. Number 1 is the reason this product exists. It's spelled out in the name on the can, and it's the closest thing to free money in this whole video. Number 1. The trick hiding in the name itself. WD-40 stands for water displacement, 40th formula. It was built in 1953 to keep corrosion off missile skins. 39 failed batches, and the 40th worked. It was never sold to you as a lubricant because it isn't one at heart. It's a moisture chaser that happens to lubricate. Which brings us to the 2 lead posts on top of your battery. Moisture and battery acid vapor grow that white and green fuzz on the terminals, and that fuzz is resistance. The battery can be strong, and the car still cranks slow or clicks, and every parts counter in the country reads clicks as sell a battery. A retired school bus driver in Buffalo brought me her 2004 4Runner after a no start. The dealer had already written the estimate. A new battery installed, with a note that if the new battery didn't cure it, diagnostic time was next. Batteries at that counter run $200 to $320 installed, and diagnostic time bills at $160 to $210 an hour, so that piece of paper came in a few dollars over $300 with nowhere to go but up. Her battery tested fine. The terminals were wearing green fur. She told me the same thing half of you are thinking. This is my last car, and I'm not financing another one on a pension over a piece of paper a dealer slid across a desk. 10 minutes, fixed it for pennies. Pull the clamps, scrub the fuzz off the posts and clamps with a wire brush and a paste of baking soda and water, rinse light, dry it, reconnect, and here's the trick. Put a thin coat of spray over the posts and clamps when you're done. It's non-conductive, so it can't short anything, and it seals the metal away from the moisture and vapor that grow the fuzz in the first place. Do that twice a year, and the fuzz never comes back. The most expensive no-start in the dealer's playbook, retired by the cheapest thing in your garage. The salesman's answer to a slow crank is a new battery. The engineer's answer is printed on a 60-year-old can. Displace the water, and the problem never starts. Before you go, there's a feature on newer cars that shuts your engine off at every red light and restarts it dozens of times on every errand run, and the car makers made the off button reset itself every single time you drive. If you want to know how to disable auto start stop permanently, click the video on the left. I'll see you there.